I don't know if it's just me, but I've started noticing something lately. Every time I'm on the train or just sitting in a cafe somewhere, I hear younger people talking, and their sentences are shorter, like really short. Sometimes it's barely a sentence.
Oh, go on. What did you hear this time?
Right, so this girl just said, I can't even. And that was it. That was the whole thing. And her friend nodded like she'd just delivered a TED talk.
That's brilliant. But to be fair, everyone knew exactly what she meant, didn't they?
That's the thing. They did. No confusion, no follow-up questions, just complete understanding. And I was sitting there thinking, I spent years learning how to build full, grammatically correct sentences, and now apparently 2 words are enough.
Well, maybe we were slightly overachieving.
Or maybe we've been learning the wrong version of English. I mean, do native speakers even follow the rules the way we were taught?
That's a dangerous question, but I know what you mean. The other day I was in a coffee shop and the table next to me, 3 uni students, they were talking in what sounded like half sentences. Low-key obsessed. Not even joking. Literally dying. That was it. No verbs, no structure, just fragments floating around.
And yet they were completely in sync.
Exactly. No one seemed lost. No one said, sorry, could you clarify your grammatical structure? It just worked.
That's what confuses me. Because when we were learning English, it was all about accuracy, tenses, subject-verb agreement. Don't drop this, don't shorten that. And then you listen to actual conversations and it's different.
Sometimes I feel like we were the last generation that actually finished our sentences.
Oh, and by the way, if this is your first time here, this is Mind the Gap. We usually talk about everyday British English, the kind you don't really hear in textbooks.
And today might be one of those days where we question everything we thought we knew.
All right, steady on. Let's not panic just yet. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because if you really pay attention, everyday English doesn't sound like a textbook at all.
It feels like there's exam English, and then there's whatever version is happening in real life.
And the tricky bit is, both are technically English.
So, have we been learning the wrong English?
All right, before we decide we've wasted years of our lives, let's slow this down a bit. When people say proper English or standard English, what they usually mean is written English, the kind you'd see in an essay, a report, the news. It's tidy, it's structured, it behaves itself.
The well-behaved version.
It turns up on time, wears a suit, and uses full sentences. But everyday speech isn't like that. It never really has been. When we talk, we cut corners, we shorten things, we rely on context.
But that still feels wrong somehow. I can hear my old teacher in my head going, complete sentence, please.
I know, same here. But think about this. If I walk into a room and say, there's loads of people here, nobody stops me. No one goes, actually, Jan, that should be there are. It just passes.
But in school, we were told not to do that. If I wrote, there's 2 people in an exam, I'd lose marks.
You would, in an exam, yes, because that setting expects written accuracy. But in real life, speech doesn't wait for grammatical perfection. It moves too fast. People prioritize meaning over form.
So when someone says there's loads of people, they're not being careless.
Not really, it's more like a habit. There's almost becomes a fixed phrase, like a shortcut for there exists. People aren't thinking about singular or plural, they're just speaking.
That's interesting, because I always thought native speakers were just naturally perfect at grammar.
Oh, absolutely not. We just don't analyse it while we're talking. Take something like, I was like. That structure technically makes no sense if you overthink it, but it's everywhere. I was like, what are you doing? It's storytelling shorthand.
And nobody questions it.
Exactly. Or something as simple as, bit tired today. No subject, no verb. If you wrote that in an essay, you'd get red pen everywhere, but say it out loud and it sounds perfectly normal.
So spoken English is looser.
Looser, yes, but not chaotic. That's the important bit. It still follows patterns. They're just different patterns from what we were tested on.
I think that's where the confusion starts, because we were trained to treat English as one single system, one correct version, but maybe it's more layered than that.
That's a good way to put it. Written English and spoken English are related, obviously, but they're not twins. More like cousins who grew up in the same family but behave very differently at dinner.
One brings a notebook, the other just turns up and starts talking.
And the trouble is, when we learn English as a subject, we're usually introduced to the notebook version first. So when we later hear the casual version, it feels like someone's breaking the rules.
Even though they're not.
So when young people speak differently, it's not wrong. It's just different.
I'd say so, yeah. And actually, if you look back far enough, English has always been changing. We just don't notice it when it happens slowly.
But this feels fast, though. Like every year there's a new phrase and I'm already behind.
That's fair. Social media speeds everything up. A phrase can start on TikTok on Monday, and by Friday everyone's saying it. But the idea of shortening things, simplifying things, that's not new at all.
Like what?
Take something simple, goodbye. That used to be God be with ye. Over time, it just got compressed. People naturally trim language down. It's easier to say, it flows better.
That's actually mad. I've never thought about that.
And it keeps happening. Look at how we text. Don't know becomes dunno. Going to becomes ganna. No one held a meeting and voted on that. It just happened.
So it's not people being lazy?
Not really. Language doesn't change because people are lazy. It changes because people are efficient. If something can be understood with less effort, we tend to go with that.
That makes sense. But what about things like because reasons? That feels like it's breaking the rules on purpose.
It kind of is. But that's the point. It plays with the rules. It assumes you already know what the correct version would be. That's why it works. It's almost a wink.
So, when someone says because reasons, they're not confused. They're being ironic.
It's a shared understanding. It's shorthand for I don't want to explain this, but you get it. That kind of thing builds group identity.
Ah, so it's not just about saving time, it's also about belonging.
Yes, the way we speak signals who we are. Teenagers have always used language to mark themselves off from adults. Every generation thinks the next one is ruining English. And yet somehow English survives.
I can imagine someone in the 1800s complaining about contractions.
Probably. These young people and their shortened words. But here we are saying don't without thinking twice.
So maybe what feels like decline is just change happening in front of us.
I think that's it. When it's our own habits, it feels normal. When it's new, it feels unsettling. But language has never been frozen. It moves with technology, culture, speed, even humour.
All right then, if English isn't just one single fixed thing, what are we actually supposed to learn? Because that's the part that stresses people out.
Yeah, that's the real question. And I don't think the answer is pick one and ignore the rest. It's more about asking yourself where you're going to use it.
All right, let's make it practical. What if I'm doing IELTS?
Then accuracy matters. Not because that's the only real English, but because that's the environment you're stepping into. An exam setting expects control, clear tenses, structured answers. You're being assessed on how well you can manage the system.
So in that context, playing around with fragments probably isn't a great idea.
Probably not. You can still sound natural, but you want your foundation solid. Think of it like formal wear. You wouldn't show up to a job interview in pyjamas, even if you personally prefer comfort.
Fair. Okay. What if I just want to sound more natural? Not necessarily academic, just less textbook.
That's slightly different. Then exposure becomes important. You need to hear how people actually phrase things, how they soften statements, how they interrupt themselves. It's less about memorising slang and more about noticing rhythm.
So it's not about suddenly saying low key in every sentence.
Please don't. It's more subtle than that. Natural speech often isn't dramatic. It's small things, short responses, little fillers, the way people agree without fully repeating the sentence.
Right. And what if someone's actually moving here, like properly relocating?
Then understanding informal speech becomes crucial. You don't have to speak exactly like everyone around you, but you need to follow what's being said. If someone says, "can't be bothered," you don't want to freeze because the grammar looks incomplete.
That's true. I remember the first time I heard "you all right," I thought something was wrong with me.
Context matters. Sometimes what sounds like a question is just a greeting. So in that case, your goal isn't grammatical perfection, it's cultural awareness.
So basically, different goals, different focus.
I'd say so. If you're working in an international team, clarity probably matters more than sounding ultra-local. You want people to understand you across accents and backgrounds. Overcomplicating things can actually get in the way.
Chasing native-like might not even be the right target.
Yes, because native speakers themselves switch depending on where they are. We don't speak the same way in a meeting as we do with friends. It's not about copying one version, it's about adjusting.
That actually makes me feel better. It means I don't have to arrive at some final, perfect English.
No one ever does. It's more dynamic than that. You build a solid base, then you learn to move within it. Some situations require precision, others reward flexibility.
Maybe it's not about choosing one English.
Maybe it's about knowing when to use which one.
It's funny though, we started with this slight panic of have we been learning the wrong English, and now it feels less dramatic.
Yeah, I think the panic comes from assuming there's only one version you're supposed to master, and if you're not speaking that version perfectly, you're failing somehow.
Which is quite a heavy way to look at language.
It is, because language isn't a single finish line. It's more like a set of tools. And being fluent doesn't mean you only ever use one tool. It means you know which one to reach for.
So fluency is flexibility.
That's a big part of it. The ability to adjust your tone, your structure, even your vocabulary depending on who you're speaking to. Native speakers switch all the time. We just don't notice it.
I suppose you wouldn't speak to your boss the same way you speak to your mates.
Exactly. And that shift isn't about grammar being right or wrong, it's about context. So maybe the goal isn't to chase one ideal version of English, it's to become comfortable moving between versions.
That actually feels reassuring. It means if my English sounds slightly more textbook sometimes, that's not a disaster.
Not at all. Clarity and structure are strength. You can always layer natural speech on top of that. It's much harder to fix shaky foundations than to soften something that's already solid.
So basically, I still have to learn grammar?
Afraid so.
I was hoping you'd say no.
Think of it this way. Grammar gives you control, real-life speech gives you colour. You probably want both.
That's actually a nice way to see it.
And if this conversation made you rethink your relationship with English a little bit, then we've done our job.
If you enjoyed this conversation, give us a like, subscribe, or share it with someone who's confused about their English.
And we'll see you next week.